Good morning, I'm Dave Corpening. I'm going to take you on a little tour of Las Vegas and Clark County's emergency operations plans. What we're going to talk about today is we're going to ID some hazards in the area. We'll talk about mitigation, and we'll talk about some room for improvement where we can plus up our strategy to mitigate hazards. My references for today are going to be Clark County's emergency operations plan and the Clark County hazard mitigation plan. Starting off, we'll talk about IDing our hazards. Up here we have them in order: drought, earthquake, flooding, and dam failure. With drought, that's defined as any measurable decrease in moisture, whether that's in the soil, the air, or in surface flowing water. The Colorado River Basin from 2000 to 2016 has been experiencing significant drought, and that's actually continued on up until 2021. So this is a hazard that we have and that we're working with, living with every day. Next, earthquake. Earthquake can be defined as any seismic movement, whether that's on a fault line or fissure, causing the surface tectonic plates to move. The Las Vegas area, the Clark County Basin, is the number 3 most seismic area in the United States. Starting off with Alaska number 1, California number 2. We're actually 3rd on the list. There are 7 major fault lines in the Las Vegas area. Next, flooding. The flooding that we're looking at dealing with here is flash flooding. So when the water hits the desert, it doesn't absorb very well. So the water runs wherever it's going to go, downhill. So there's a lot of flash flooding in the Las Vegas region. Lastly, dam failure. There are 97 dams in the Las Vegas Clark County region, the Hoover Dam being the largest. This dam failure could come from flooding, earthquake, or from the dam falling apart or a terrorist attack. So these are going to be our hazards. Now, how do we mitigate those? Starting off with drought, what Clark County has implemented is maximizing water recycling. So we're trying to get as much water, whether that's sewage, runoff, watering from watering your car, collecting it, and then putting it back into use. So we're maximizing our water recycling. Additionally, we're looking at injecting and increasing aquifers, whether that's taking that recycled water and getting it back into an aquifer, or diverting surface water to flow into aquifers so that we have them for future use. For mitigating our earthquakes, seismic retrofitting is the name of the game. We're looking at taking older buildings and making sure that those structures are plussed up so that if there is a major earthquake, which the Department of the Interior says there's a 1 in 10 chance of a 6.0 or higher earthquake in the next 50 years. Pretty high, and that could be an earthquake that causes a lot of damage. So we want our buildings ready for it, and if there is an earthquake, they're good to go. Next, flooding. Flooding, what we're looking to do is control water. So Clark County is investing money in new sewers, culverts, drainage areas, and spillways. That water is going to hit the ground. It's going to go somewhere, so we're going to put it where we want it. So that's how we're dealing with flooding. Dam failure, we're working with the Bureau of Reclamation on the Hoover Dam and all of the other major dams to make sure those dams are secure and those dams are maintained. So we're putting money into those areas to increase their resilience in case of damage or terrorist attack. Some areas for improvement: water independence. There is a lot of water dependence on the Hoover Dam and Lake Mead area. So we're trying to outsource other areas for water, and again, maximizing those aquifers. Additionally, looking at some solar dependence. The dam failure puts a lot of strain on the infrastructure of the dam, the power plants that those dams usually support. So getting people onto solar, onto energy independence so that there's less strain on those dams. And then lastly, we're looking at floodplain awareness, floodplain planning. So water's going to be moving. We want to keep people away from those areas and not building in areas where there could be flash floodings. So those are our hazards, our mitigation strategies, and some areas for improvement. Please let me know if you have any questions.